Welcome back to Science of Leading. I'm Claire Monroe with Edwin Carrington. Edwin, I want to start with a phrase from the piece we're working from this week, that a team growth plan is not more training, which made me wonder how many companies think it is.
Most of them, Claire, and it's an expensive mistake. The moment a company hits 50 or so employees, growth stops being just more people and starts being coordination. Coordination creates bottlenecks. Bottlenecks create frustration. Frustration creates attrition. And then you're rehiring the same role for the second time, which is a very costly hobby.
So the development plan is supposed to be the thing that catches that before it turns into a resignation.
Exactly, but only if it's actually a system. Business objectives translated into role outcomes translated into development goals, and development goals translated into real behavior change. Most companies skip straight to the last step. They hand out a training budget and call it a plan.
And that's where the generic version falls apart, right? Because the piece calls out 3 failure patterns I think a lot of listeners will recognize immediately. Everyone should improve communication, more training resources, and mentorship programs for everyone.
Each one of those is a translation problem in disguise. Everyone should improve communication usually means nobody actually defined what good communication looks like in that specific role. More training resources usually means there's no accountability or measurement attached to it at all. And mentorship for everyone usually means mismatched mentors and mentees with no real follow-through.
So the fix isn't a better training catalog, it's better diagnosis before you ever pick an initiative.
That's step 1 and step 2 in that order. Step 1, define organizational priorities and the critical skills that actually predict those outcomes, per function, per role. Not take a course on productivity. Something specific, like cross-team execution if your competitiveness depends on faster launches. Step 2, assess your people against that, using performance data you already have and behavioral data you probably don't.
The behavioral piece is what stops it from becoming one-size-fits-all, isn't it? Because 2 people can have the exact same skills gap on paper and need completely different coaching to close it.
Completely different. One person needs structure to perform, another needs autonomy or they disengage. One thrives in ambiguity, another needs clearer constraints before they'll take a risk. One's energized by cross-functional projects, another's drained by them. If your development plan can't answer who's actually ready for leadership training versus who's still stabilizing core execution, you're not personalizing anything, you're just running the same template with different names on it.
And OAD's own product is built for exactly that question. A 7-minute behavioral survey that tells you role fit, leadership style, and team dynamics, so managers aren't relying on gut feel about who's ready for what.
Which matters because gut feel is inconsistent even from the same manager, week to week. Data doesn't have a mood.
Okay, so say a company's done the diagnosis right, they know who needs what. What actually turns that into behavior change instead of another line item nobody follows up on?
The initiatives themselves have to be engineered to the specific gap, not generic. Mentorship for the person who's still building judgment. Cross-functional projects for the person who needs broader exposure to sharpen problem solving. Leadership training for the person who's already stabilized their core execution and is ready for more scope. Match the initiative to the actual behavioral pattern and you get real change. Mismatch it and you get a checkbox.
And then evaluation is what keeps it honest, because a plan with no check-in just quietly dies by month 3.
Regular one-on-ones, structured reviews, and a short quarterly check tied to real business outcomes, not just intentions. If you're not measuring whether the development actually moved a number, you're funding hope, not growth.
And this all rolls up into succession planning eventually, which I think a lot of companies treat as a separate project instead of the natural output of doing this well.
It should be the natural output. When people can see a real advancement path, backed by evidence of their own growth instead of a vague promise, engagement and retention both improve. Succession planning isn't a separate initiative bolted on at the end. It's what a personalized, well-measured development system produces on its own.
If you want to stop guessing who's ready for what on your own team, OAD has a free top performer profile. Real behavioral data in about 7 minutes, results in 24 hours, no credit card. That's OAD.ai.
Diagnose before you develop. Everything else follows from that.
Perfect place to leave it. Thanks, Edwin.
Always, Claire.